Hi developers, I'm Hossein Abdullah, Microsoft MVP. In this video, we'll learn how to develop iOS applications using Xamarin. Specifically, in this video, we'll learn how to use the slider in Xamarin Studio. So the slider is that component that allows users to choose a specific value between a set range of values here, like a value between 0 and 20 or 0 and 100. So let's build this application in Xamarin Studio. So let's fire Xamarin Studio here, go to create a new solution to start this application from scratch, choose app, then single view app, hit next, then give our application a name, let's call it slider app, go next and create our application. Once our application is created, here we'll go to the main storyboard to start creating our user interface. From here, we want to change from generic to iPhone 6, for example, to get how the user interface will look like in a real device. To this user interface, we'll add our UI controls, which is here in our case a slider. So let's drag the slider right here. And let's make it larger. You see that here we have some properties we can change for the slider. We can change, for example, the color and the color for the tint of that slider. So here we can change the tint, the thumb tint, and here we have a set of colors. Let's choose the purple color, for example. Also, we do have some other properties we can choose from. So let's change this one, green, and you see here that this line now is in color green. Great, so now the user can change the values of this slider. Now I want to show the value, this chosen value from that slider. So we'll add a label to show that value. So add this label here. And now, in order for the value to be displayed in the label, we need to create an event that will be fired in each time the user changes the value of the slider. To do that, we select the slider and we go to the properties where we have the events tab. And here you see all the events that we can apply on a slider. Here we'll choose the value change it event. So let's call it slider underscore value change it. We hit enter, and by doing that, here you see now I'm in viewcontroller.cs page, and here I get this dialog telling me where to put my event handler. So let's make it under the view controller, and here it created my slider value change it event handler. Now I'll put the code to get the value from the slider and set it to the text property of the label. So first of all, I need to access my slider, and in order to access the slider, I need to give it a name. So we can do that here in the storyboard. We go to the widget and to the top where we have identity and give it a name. Let's call it my slider. Great. Now we can come back here and we can call our slider dot to get the value. The property is simply called value, and you see here it's of type float. So we'll put the value in a float variable and call it value. Then we'll display that value inside the label. Again, I need to give a name to my label. So let's select it and give it a name right from the properties window. let's call it value label. Now we can go to value label.text and give it the value that we want to set it, or value. Here another thing we can do, here I do have an error because value is of type float and text is of type string, so I need to do a conversion, and that's simply using toString. Now I'll add some other modification to my slider. So as you saw here in the simulator, the values are between 0 and 100. So to specify that range of values, I go back and select the slider, and you see that here under the properties window I can specify those value, a minimum value of 0 for example, and a maximum value for, let's say, 100 for example. And you see here the default value, if it's 0.5 then it will be at here, but if I make the default value 17, then here it is. Great. So now let's run our application and see it in action, and I'll choose here the latest iPhone 7 simulator and run our application. So here it is, the app, but you see here that the slider is not wide enough as we made it in the simulator and in the previewer here. The same thing for the label is not displaying the entire value, so we can fix these issues quickly. If we go back to Xamarin Studio, click outside the previewer, and from here uncheck use size classes and disable size classes, then we can run the application again. Now the slider is wider, but the label is not yet displaying the entire value. Again, we can fix that by going to the label here. Let's set iPhone 6 and make the label larger. Now the label is displaying the exact value, but here, let's say I don't need all these values. I need only the two numbers here to displaying the percentage. So the way to do that is just by going back to Xamarin Studio, and here we can cast the float value to an integer. We can do that by casting. And now it only displays two numbers for the percentage between 0 and 100. So thank you.